no the EPM. That you I get connected to the people. They won't say me. Get the condo one in friend. It's a motor bus. But he know the place. He know the ball. When the officer said ask me to the police station there, lawyer was there. Then he tell the lawyer say he know the ball are in front. The ball can't eat on to bab. So that chair land there, the lawyer put gas in the car. He know the make, but later they make come to the station. And now Bulati my own there. I tell it and I regret it. It's just a mistake. And before they can bring on here, when we went to the police station, or even baking, I say, oh man, to let you know go fire. We can talk to school, the place la for air, we go retrieve the main gun. And the EPM, what would tell it out to let it? I don't know the EPM personally. What would tell that connection? I know it.
Distinguished colleagues, this is a two-faced issue.
This is a critical issue in this country, and we must stand up and speak the truth. Because for you to use the fact that prior to printing, it means you already telling me print. But before you print, come up to me.
There is nothing in that paragraph that indicated that money should be printed.
The essence of this exercise, the essence of this exercise is to know the facts. Everybody will have the opportunity to ask questions if you so desire.
One guy that was working with the foreign ministry that has sacked because he did the wrong thing. It's the man that comes here to say, I was still a rebel group. I don't have to tell everybody whether he's that or he's that. Everybody that is rebel group is doing it. If I've ever been a rebel group, what you know is the policy. And these are people that are carrying guns. That we get armed with the council to give carry the gun. It's the men that come today on TV bold enough to say, I was part of a rebel group or I gave to the rebel group. The only money that pay in this country that children are going to school and all your students they do now, they run it. I've not participated in any war. I did not support any war. I did not support anybody that fought war in my life because I hated what was happening. Some of us, we have tasted no blood in our life. All our life was on the altar with our grandparents. We prayed every day. When I flew home and flew home, we were hoping. The person we both placed our hope on was Jesus Christ, the Son of the Lord, to talk to our Father God. So, Liberians, every time I speak, whether it's the United Nations or the ECOWAS, peace is the order of the day. The man that want to be president, that want to unseat me, he must unseat me in a peaceful way. You don't need to break anything, to shoot anybody, and to call it. Those that are going, even that are going to vote against us for all the rules, they must be happy when they go to move. They will not do something. This is the Liberia that we want to take. It is not about Georgia, it's about our country. Now, the reason they tell you, but I will say to you again, and I can say it, I've been family living there, I've been friends. I treat my family, brothers and sisters, then I treat my friends. Because everyone is all family. I don't know brothers, see, I got brothers, I got sisters there. They stay there every day, but the way I treat you, as an outsider, how I treat them, they get respect, I give them respect. They get love, I give them love. They get hate, we give them love. And all over for that. If you see my brother, if you see my friend, you will not believe that this guy is my brother, this guy is my friend. Because I treat everybody the same. Working with the foreign ministry that has started. Because one guy that was working with the foreign ministry that has started. One guy that was working with the foreign ministry that has started. Because he did the wrong thing. The men that come
Well, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon to our folks listening to the conversation, wherever you are, however you're listening. It's a wonderful day in the U.S. It is equally a wonderful day, I'm sure, in Liberia. Alexa will tell us about that. But it's a wonderful, wonderful time to be on the planet. We are just 3 days to the end of 2022, with today being the 28th day of December 2022. Tomorrow is the 29th, and so forth. So today's edition, we're going to be looking into too many of the remarkable events that we have had in this country. Too many of the remarkable events we've had. We're going to be having a year in review with reference to highlighting most of the national developmental projects and too many of the issues that we've been, as a people and country. And so today, Alexa is there in Liberia. We've been joined by two guest panelists. J. Randy Dapo is going to be live with us. We also have Marco Do Tippison. Marco Do Tippison is there in the Minneapolis area, there in Minnesota. He's going to join us as well. Also have some analytical discussions on too many of the things we've been having in the country. I mean, in the year 2022. So, Alexa, good morning from my end.
Hello, Oliver. Hope you're doing okay. I hope you're getting me well. I just had a whole dramatic moment just before coming on the show, and thank God you called me. Thank God I'm here and I'm live. But it's a pleasure being back here for another edition of the program Freedom Hub. Of course, I'm in Liberia, and from my end, all is well. And I mean, it is a wonderful time in country at about this time. So, however you're joining us, we'd like to say welcome to Freedom Hub. And of course, we've been having a whole different style of presentation quite recently because we have a couple of things to handle that we're able to be in our live studio. However, we still managed to, pull ourselves together to be here and just discuss all of the different issues we have in countries. So, however, when you join us, we'd like to say welcome to Freedom Hub.
Okay, so we're gonna be having our guest panelists join us. Like I told you, J. Randy Dapo is in Delaware County. He's in the state of Delaware. I beg your pardon. He's gonna. Yes, he's gonna join us on this network as a guest panelist just for today. Do Tippison is also going to join us. So today we're going to be looking at too many we've been experiencing in the country. The Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation, announced that pipe-borne water will be hitting Monrovia during the course of this week. They've already started pumping some. Those are issues we'll be looking at. The government of Liberia also was able to officially dedicate the Invisible Park in country. We also have dual citizenship. Law was also passed and signed the bill was passed and signed into law by the president, giving natural born Liberians the opportunity to be a part of their country of birth, to also have the opportunity to maintain their Liberian citizenship while also have their foreign citizenship, whether they're members, they're citizens of any of the members countries of Europe or they're citizens of the United States. Now, in addition to that, the Liberian Electricity Corporation had a boost. And that project is to see stable electricity affecting the country. So LEC to a greater extent, will now have additional power from La Côte d'Ivoire through the CLSG Transcode project that will see energy being restored to Liberia at a more stable level. Now, the last but not the least of developmental projects we're going to be looking into is the one I have with the Emirate Hospital that was dedicated moments ago in Liberia. So, like I said, that's the size of our conversation on today. So, during the course of the program, we're going to be having our folks joining us. TPC is going to join us once he's ready. We're going to have those issues, but let's look at LEC. LWSC, water and sewer. There has been difficulties. There have been too many difficulties surrounding the water and sewer. Entity in our country. Water supply to Central Monrovia has been a challenge. Customer service at the water and sewer has been, a challenge. Also, we are also told that water and sewer is operating in 3 of the counties. Outside Monserrado, they're in Nimba, they're in Bong, and there were reports from Bassa. There have been too many challenges, but the good news that we've had over the period is the fact that they are pumping water into Monrovia after several years. It's been over 20 plus years since Monrovia last witnessed water being pumped into the country, and this all happened when the president commissioned the pipeline project to do new pipelines from White Plains up to Monrovia. So today, the water is being tested. It's been pumped into communities in Central Monrovia, breaking that long chain, of absence from the nation's capital. So, what is it from your angle? Then we go around the table and have the input of other people on the issue of water returning to Central Monrovia.
Well, all I can say, we've experienced a lot of things this year, and we've seen too many challenges. And at a point, we actually hoped for a moment where we have all of these things to be accessible to citizens. So, one of the things I would say, that is a very good news, but I think at this moment, as much as people are trying to make sure that people get access to pipe-borne water, I think whatever that is to be done should be really strengthened to the extent that you will have people getting exactly what they will be paying for, because this is something where you will have to deliver service to citizens who will be able to afford the pipe-borne water in Liberia. But after several years, I think this is a good thing, and this is a boost for our economy as well when we have all of these different people who will be spearheading this entity to have it to be done in a rightful way, and not to focus on a moment where, of course, we have a different challenges like we faced in the past. I guess there are a couple of different reports we've had from the Liberia Water and Sewer Cooperation over the period, and we talked about that a couple of times. And we also talked about the fact that we need people, in as much as we're having all of these different prospects, we're having all of these different good news in several sectors in Liberia. It is important to have people who are spearheading these different government entities to be able to handle these things with care, to be able to handle these things based on the different policies that they're focused on. So it is a good thing, but I actually hope that we'll have a moment where
I think she left the line. So kind, you can take over.
Okay, so there should be a technical issue. I hope Alexa is going to join us. But on the issue of water, water and sewer, yes, that has been a very interesting conversation. That has been a very interesting conversation, and I'm grateful that water has been restored to Monrovia. We have some personal issues with the way the water and sewer as an entity has been, controlled. We have personal issues with the way the folks are controlling the entity. Those are personal stuff that we have. They are, administrative as well. We're not pleased with the way how proceeds from water and sewer, specifically water sales and distribution. We're not good with how those proceeds have been spent over the period. But the mere fact that after many years of the existence of our country, after many years, to find what is this thing? To find water being restored to Monrovia is a very wonderful, wonderful news. And so we are grateful that it was able to happen in this year. So those are things that all Liberians want to see. The issue of water, the issue of the part that we'll talk about. Those are all things that Liberians want to see. So the head of the Water and Sewer Corporation, Duana Sayo, although Duana Kamara, I beg your pardon, was clear when he instructed people, when he warned citizens from using the water that is being pumped at the moment, because according to him, it's been chlorinated. And so the chlorine content in it is so high, so people cannot start to consume it. You can cook with it, you can drink it. The only way you do that is to wait for the final instruction from Water and Sewer, which is good. But I am a bit disappointed over the fact that Water and Sewer didn't do the circular information before coming up with that restriction. And what you do is you inform the people that by next week we're going to be pumping the water into Monrovia, but the water we'll be pumping into Monrovia will not be consumable. It's not going to be okay for you to drink it. It will not be good for you to eat it. It will not be good for you to take bath. For you to do stuff with it. You can only do this with it. You can only do this with it. You cannot do this with it. Now, when you put forth those kind of conversations, when you do those things, then it becomes more appropriate as what is this thing? As an entity. But to already start to pump the water into the society while water is being pumped out, then you issue statements say the water we're pumping, you shouldn't drink it. In my mind, it was a procedural error that shouldn't have happened. Before you send out the kind of messages, you make sure that you inform the people. Let the people know that we will be sending water to Central Monrovia. It has been over 30 years since Central Monrovia last witnessed Water and Sewer pumping water to their homes. So we'll be sending water, but mind you, the pipes are dirty. We will try to chlorinate the water so that the chlorine can clean up the pipes and make it decent for you to start to consume in a subsequent time. So the water y'all will see for next week after next, don't drink it. So by the time we start pumping it, so when you see it coming, you should know say it is not good for consumption. Now, when you do those things before pumping the water, then it says a lot about your administrative preparedness. It says a lot about your environmental preparedness. It says a lot about you as a good administrator. That's exactly what it is. But to wait until you start to pump the water before issuing the circular, that's my own disappointment. And before we go back to you, Alexa, you just left the line. The case here is water has been pumped. It's an achievement. We have not had that, since the war. We've not seen water being pumped into Central Monrovia. Even our radio station, we have to order water from the water truck. So by the time we get connected to the water and sewer lines, you will not have to go and get truck of water to come and supply your reservoir. All of the businesses, the different schools, the last time the University of Liberia had issue with the bathrooms, it was because from the day the country was established, since we fought the war, we have not had a chance where water was being pumped into Central Monrovia. Under this administration, couple of months ago, somewhere in 2021, we were fortunate to have been in the White Plains area where the president was able to break ground for the construction and the installation of pipes from White Plains up towards Central Monrovia. So it has been successfully done. This week, Mr. Kamara announced that water has been pumped to homes in Central Monrovia. Our concern is for the people to listen and abide by his instructions so that we cannot have any sicknesses or whatever breaking out in those places, while at the same time urging him not to do the same thing. When you want to do it, inform the people ahead of time. Now, before I submit to you so you conclude on the water issue, then we'll move to other topics. This issue that has to do with managing funds from water. You know, it's a good thing that the government was able to achieve providing water to Central Monrovia in this year. And by the time the water is clean for distribution, a lot of houses will start to own the water, will start to subscribe, you know, to the water. Most of the businesses, water and sewer should be a little bit different from what they've been all through the period. They should not sell the water and eat the money. You know,
Yeah, that's my point
Grand
exactly.
Bassa County, there was a report from Grand Bassa County where water and sewer would get the water money. You know, they'll get water to people, misdirect the money. There should be so much accountability, you know, at the level of water and sewer, because you don't want a situation where people will be pumping water into the country and proceeds from the water will not be going into government coffers, and at the end, Ministry of Finance will have to be paying water and sewer inspectors. They'll be paying water and sewer employees. You know, it doesn't say anything good about such a state-owned enterprise, you know. Yeah, so the entity, Mr. Kamara, should do everything in his power. If there were loopholes there, stealing all of the money, whatever system was in place, you know, that prevented proceeds generated from money from entering government cover, he should do a lot in ensure that those holes are closed. Because when you find the kind of great project happening in the country, it says a lot about the country's developmental drive and the pace at which it is on. So we get water now there. Water, what we get, we're making money from it. You know, we're not generating more money so that we can expand it across the other part of the country, Alexa. So you conclude on the water issue, and then we move
Yeah.
to the next.
As I said earlier before I left the line, that is a major concern, because one of the most important things whenever we have these different initiatives, or whenever we have these good news about the country and some things that people will benefit from, especially the citizens of Liberia, one of the major things we actually focus on is the fact that citizens should be able to get exactly what they're paying for. That's one of the most important aspects. And another aspect would be, the sanitation aspect, because like you said, Oliver, whenever you have these differences about water, sanitation is very important, and that is an asset, and that is an asset that our people have to know what about. So you cannot be saying we're going to have, pipe-borne water in Liberia at this moment, and then people are not 100% aware as to whether it is safe to consume the water at this point or not. So I think one of the things that should have been done prior to the biggest announcement of what we have now after so many years is the Water and Sewer Cooperation really informing citizens that, of course, in as much as this is exactly what we're experiencing, in as much as this is exactly what we have available after several years, we'll also inform you that at this point it cannot be used. At this point, you will have to just be patient enough, and after we have already gone over the sanitation aspect, and then it can be consumed by people. But if that's not the case, you will have people consuming stuff that is not safe for them. So I really hope that they will also take into consideration, the communication aspect, where they will have to, communicate all of these different things to citizens, because it is very important. If people were not informed earlier, that means people will be harmed. That means people will not really understand exactly the sanitation aspect of the whole, accessibility of pipe-borne water in Monrovia, and people will not be able to do exactly what they're supposed to do with the water they're paying for. Another aspect of it is the management aspect. Like, we have a lot of different, cooperations. We have a lot of different government entities and agencies in this country that, when it comes to some of the different things that will be available to citizens, of course, we're going to have the announcements. We're going to, make a big deal out of it, because, of course, Liberians are going to benefit from this, which is very, 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 good. But whenever we have poor management, that's one of the moments where you have people not to really enjoy the availability of the different things that they're supposed to, really enjoy as citizens. So we've over the period really we've heard the different complaints where people have had issues with Liberia, with the Water and Sewer Cooperation, and we ourselves, we have discussed some of the different reports we've listened to. So I really hope we will have this whole thing to be well managed, where the government of Liberia would generate funds through the Liberia Water and Sewer Cooperation, and there will not be a point where we will listen to, oh, people are paying, people are not getting what they're paying for. or people are paying, but then the funds are not really going to government coffers. At the end of the day, we have individuals who are trying to invest the monies. We have individuals who are trying to, use it for their own personal gains. And at the end of the day, that doesn't really say a lot about the country. That doesn't really say anything positive, positive about what the benefit that is are given to Liberians through the Liberian government. Because whenever you have an entity that will be able to generate funds, I mean, that is something that you will empower the government. That is something that you'll be able to, you'll be able to contribute to the economy. So we really hope that all of these different things we're discussing at this point, like, of course, it is commendable, but we hope we have different policies that will be strengthened. We hope we have all of the deliverables to be delivered to citizens per what they're going to pay for, and we hope it will be managed well. Because I mean, if it is not managed well, that is just something for sure, like people will say. So you're going to have this water. Alexa is going to purchase water. She's going to get water at her house. Of course, that is good. But the money Alexa is paying to you, is it going back to the government coffers? Is it going to be used to pay employees of government? Because sometimes you will have these entities that are able to generate funds, and they're supposed to pay their own employees. But at the end of the day, they go back and then they have a lot of stress on the Ministry of Foreign Finance. At the end of the day, you're going to say, oh, we're not generating funds. Funds are there to be generated, but the policies that are supposed to be used, or basically the evaluation and monitoring that people are supposed to focus on to have, these things well handled, well managed, it will not be managed, because we have a lot of these guys who do not really care about what Liberia tends to benefit in terms of the revenue generated. What they're mostly interested in is the fact of what I can benefit as an individual. So I hope we'll not really get to that point again where we'll be discussing, oh, this is happening at Water and Sewer Corporation, or people are doing this and people are doing that. We don't want to get to the point. So all we're saying to you, in as much as we are celebrating this news after several years, we're happy that, of course, people are going to get the pipeline water in Monrovia, and people will get access to all of these different things. It is also important to use the funds for the purpose it has been given for, because you can have people paying you and then you're not using the money for what it is supposed to be used for. So Oliver, that's all I can say. But it is a good thing that we have access to water, and I hope it will be well sanitized. I hope it will be well sanitized, because prior to the announcement, they did not really inform citizens that, I mean, at this point, you cannot use the water. People were not informed about that, because you have to, use some sanitation, measures to be able to have the water to be safe, whether people will drink, whether people will cook, or, shower. It is important to make all of, those different things to be known to the public before you can have access to it. So I hope they will do well on informing the public more often, just in case they have issues.
Oh yeah, and that is our concern, because look, there is you couldn't have said it more better than the way you ended it, Alexa. When we have these remarkable projects being executed, the best thing we want to do is sustainability plan. We are told that there were water stations built in Vonjima, in Saniquele, and Tottenberg, Bomi, Yeah, and we're told that those places were built by USAID and other partners to give it a water and sewer to run it, but up to this moment, there is no clear justification. In fact, there is a report to that effect that water and sewer misused the money. They were unable to actually manage those projects, So this is not only a Monrovia situation. So the way it has been restored to Monrovia, when accountability is in place, you will find the nearby counties and subsequently the whole country having that connection to water. So that's a wonderful thing. So as we're celebrating,
and one last thing too. As much as we're cautioning, people who are in charge of the cooperation to make sure everything works out well, we also have to talk to citizens, because if we're talking about the Water and Sewer Cooperation, it also links to LEC. And recently, you saw exactly how a lot of citizens have been connected based on power theft. So I hope as citizens will not also be involved into, any criminality when it comes to just stealing water and having some sort of, connection just because you want to get access to it, but you don't want to pay for it. Because at the end of it, these are things that really hinder the aspect of sustainability. If we want something to be sustainable, if we want something to have a longer time where people will have to value, people will have to enjoy for a longer time, citizens also have several roles to play, and they have to be honest, they have to be able to purchase. If they're unable, well, it's fine. Everyone doesn't really have to be on it. If you don't have funds, that's okay, but you don't have to steal water, because that's one of the reasons today we have massive power theft in this country that people are still trying to get rid of. So really hope that we can have people in the field also to be monitoring all of these different things, and monitoring citizens who are trying to hinder the prospect when it comes to sustainability. I really hope so.
Okay. Yeah. So that's good. And I mean, to be honest, there is this other having a year in review. We're reviewing the progress made in this year. So we're looking at dual citizenship. Liberians who came to the U.S. Liberians who came to the U.S. And were able to get the United States citizenship. Those who went to other countries and got the citizenship of those countries will now have the chance to still maintain their Liberian citizenship. That was one of the laws passed under this government. Yeah, precisely. It was the president's vision. The president submitted that to the legislature for it to be added into the packet for the referendum. It went to the referendum. It was rejected by the Liberian people. And
Yeah.
in the referendum, specifically the opposition committee called for people to boycott that process. They call on the citizens to vote against the dual citizenship, a proposition within the referendum, for fear
Right.
that it was only intended to make Timothy Weah a Liberian citizen. They said it was only going to benefit Timothy Weah. They did not even realize that Senator Dillon's son in Minnesota will also benefit from it. They did not realize that the sons and daughters of other key politicians who are not close to the Weah's team, they didn't realize that Liberians in general, those in Europe, those in Asia, those in the Americas, those who took different citizenship, they did not realize that it would be very helpful to them, and so they rejected it in the referendum. Later on, we saw some of the very senators, some of the very lawmakers who rejected it, started to push it back into the legislature for
Right.
reconsideration. At this moment, it's still through the fundraising. They were able to put politics aside, and it was finally passed into law. Yes, the president too had his opportunity to grab his own fight. The president could have decided to say, look, you know what? I have the power to veto. I'm going to send it back because I don't want it, because the time I needed it, you guys threw it out. The time I wanted it to happen, you campaigned against it. So the president would have said to himself that, since it's not happening on my term, I'm going to veto it. I have the power, I have the constitutional power to send it back. But he said, no, no matter how, no matter the strategy you use to kill the monkey, what is of major concern is for the monkey to be killed. So since I took it to y'all peacefully in the referendum and you rejected it, you campaigned against it, then you turn around and brought it to the legislature, it was passed, I will sign it. So the president signed that into law. And today, those of our people who are American citizens can now run to the different embassies and grab their Liberian passport, while maintaining their American citizenship, while maintaining their European citizenship, while maintaining their other African citizenship, and whatever the case, that was one of the progress we've made as a people and country. Yeah, you want to wrap on that quickly? Then we
Yes, yeah,
Mhm.
sure. So, like I said previously, we've experienced a lot of things this year, just 2022 in review. It has been a lot. We've seen a lot of different things, and people have said a lot of different things. But on the dual citizenship, that was one of the propositions in the referendum that we had quite recently. And I can clearly remember we had a lot of opposition, figures who influenced that process, and a lot of them said people should go to the polls and people should say no to dual citizenship because they had in fact they had a narrative about that of course this is now going to benefit Liberia, because whenever we're discussing these things, we always have to ask several questions like who does this benefit and how exactly would this benefit the people it is supposed to benefit. So at the end of the day, it is all about Liberia, it is all about Liberians. So people did not really see it in that direction. People focused on because this is George Weah, so it means is it just all about George Weah. People did not see beyond the surface as to how Liberians were going to embrace, especially Liberians who are in the diaspora, how they were going to embrace it and how they were going to be really excited about having a sense of belonging, because you have a lot of people who left this country when we had the civil unrest. Some people were really forced to leave Liberia because you don't want to be in a space where you don't have peace. You don't want to be in a space where you don't sleep. In the morning, you get up, you're going to listen to, the different sounds of gunshots. You get up, you're going to see people being hurt. So people were forced to leave this country because they needed a space where they were going to find refuge. And of course, a lot of people left Liberia. Some people went to the United States, some people went to different European countries, and people just traveled all around the world to find a space where they would breathe, to find a space where they would find peace. And of course, that happened. And then the president thought it wise that, of course, after we've experienced all of these different things, there are people who still want to go back to the country. There are people who still have this sense of belonging, like in as much as I've spent, 30 years in the United States, I am from Liberia. In as much as I've spent, 25 years in France, I'm still from Liberia. So people were actually trying to connect themselves back to their root, to connect themselves back to, the space where they were born, in a space where they have a huge connection with. So when we saw some opposition figures really discourage citizens, really influence the process, I mean, we sat back, Oliver, you're aware of that. We sat back and were disappointed. Like we were thinking far, like, what exactly does this really mean? Is there something that has, sense? We were thinking, what sense does it really make to tell someone, hey, if you're going to go to the polls, do not vote yes to this proposition of dual citizenship. No, it's only going to benefit the president because he has his son, or he has, these family members who are out of this country and just wants them to get back here and have citizenship. There were lazy arguments. There were just different narratives, and some of the people. That's why all of the time, Oliver would talk about how gullible some people are in this society, and no matter what happens, we're still going to have the gullible part of the population, which we will not really get rid of anytime soon. Like that is something that is just a part of it. So people who were gullible, people who did not really understand the whole, a reason behind that proposition of dual citizenship, they went ahead and then they voted against it. After several times, when the same people who said, hey, do not say yes to this, said no to this, they now became the fighter. They now became the advocate for dual citizenship. And that was one of the things that I think was really silly, because you can have a process that everyone is going to, a democratic process everyone is going to, and then you're influencing the process, telling someone, hey, do not agree to this. And after people have listened to you, you've influenced people have listened to you, and people voted no. Now you're putting yourself as someone who has always been an advocate of that proposition. It didn't make any sense, and still today it still doesn't make sense whenever I see these people, saying, oh yes, dual citizenship, but the bottom line is that was one of the best things that really happened in this year. That's one of the best news that our folks in the diaspora, that was one of the best news that they've ever gathered. That's one of the best achievements they've ever had in this year, because when that was really passed, and then we saw people's reactions. We listened to different views, and we saw how people were happy. Some people came back, to Liberia for the very first time after so many years, and of course they felt a sense of belonging. And some people who found it very difficult before to have their Liberian passport, of course they started, getting the different ways that they'll be able to get your passport. And of course, you can be a U.S. citizen, you can still be a Liberian. And at the end of the day, today people still appreciate the president for, of course, putting forth such a a great achievement that, of course, we have a lot of Liberians who are benefiting from that. And we still have people who have some sort of sense of belonging getting back to their country. So they don't always have to, get a misstep of where you are or where are you from, because they already know where they're from. They just needed someone to recognize that, of course. I mean, it doesn't matter where you are as long as you are a Liberian. Once a Liberian is always a Liberian. That's exactly what the president usually says. Once a Liberian is always a Liberian. So no matter how far you've been, no matter how many years you've been out of here, of course. And that is also something that, paved ways for a lot of Liberians to be able to get back here and invest, in their own little ways, because people were thinking, I've left Liberia since 1990. I've left Liberia since 2000, and I have money. I want to open a business. How do I go about it? I don't have a citizenship. So now that people have already, achieved the fact that, of course, we have citizenship, like I am a citizen of Liberia, people will get back here and invest in the little ways. And that's exactly how the country goes when, it starts bit by bit, and at the end of the day, it's great. So that's one of the greatest achievements, I would say, for 2022. All of the different things we experienced 2022, that's exactly one of the best things that happened to a lot of Liberians who are in the diaspora. And I think it's a great thing.
Okay, so then we move over to what is the newest sensation on the Tottenham Boulevard, specifically around the fish market area. The president had a vision, and that vision was to ensure that Liberians, irrespective of their political, social, ethnic, and religious background, will have the opportunity to have access to recreational facilities. So there came the vision for Liberia's first modern, sports park, which is intended, like I told you, for recreational purposes. So the president decided to have it placed at a venue that was used for public latrine. People used to go and use that butch, to ease themselves. They will throw their chimok in it. Like we say in Liberia, they would throw feces there. They would put dirt there. They would urinate all on the road. Only a portion of it was used by our mothers for fast and prayers. So the president announced that the sports park will be built there. Citizens from around the world, Liberian citizens, commended the president for the vision. Yet and still, we have few Liberians, especially those who are opposition figures, who say, "Oh, when you put football feet down there, the ethnic can land. Rest of that play, ethnic will be falling down to the football. People will be playing football, ethnic will be falling down there." It's not correct. It does, and they have all kinds of things to say about the project. But when you go to other countries, big countries, you will find out that there are other structures closer to the airports within a particular space. Similar space was reserved during the construction of the Invisible Park. So the park is now active. A couple of days ago, we talked about it. The park is now active. It is a home to Liberians, irrespective of which party you belong to. It's not about who you support. It is not about what religious views you subscribe to. It doesn't have to concern your tribe. You go to the Invisible Park if you're a basketballer. You do your basketball. If you are a footballer, you go and play soccer. Those of the people who play table tennis, they have their side. The track and field is available. The children have their children pool. And several other things, were included. That also give rise to the construction of the Unity Park, which is nearing completion. We've gone a little around 45% when I was there. So I don't know where that is at the moment. So we've seen the Invisible Park, being a home to too many people. The U.S. ambassador himself went there to play basketball. Several dignitaries from the United Nations. We've had people from the EU going there, opposition people going there, CDC people going there, people who do not subscribe to any political parties, going at the place to train, to have other recreational activities. This project may not, catch the eyes of people in terms of what they believe development should be, because in contemporary Africa, When you say development, people think about schools, they think about hospital, they think about road, they think about electricity, and not many African countries are, you know, especially Liberians. Not many Liberians are, you know, open to the fact that recreational facilities are imperative in any civilized society, because once you have, you know, places where people can stay, people living, they should have access to recreational, you know, sites. And so the president thought to introduce a new developmental, you know, system in the country by having, you know, those parks, you know, constructed so that people can go and have a stuff, you know. Yeah, but even at that, why the park was already done, one single day rain fell, water started to overflow from the swimming pool that was under construction. You know, and people had to criticize and say all kinds of things. But since that rain fell, we've had several thunderstorms in that country, and we've never witnessed anything like overflowing and whatever the situation. It was just a normal natural
disaster.
Yeah, but that is okay. That is a wonderful. And when the park was done, it's good that it was done this year. You and I called on the government, especially the president, to ensure that he will instruct his people to make sure that that recreational facility is decentralized across the country. Now, the essence of doing that is to afford other Liberians the opportunity to have access to those kind of recreational, you know, facilities. You talk about the basketball court, the tennis court, and whatever the case. Because Fish Market is not Liberia, you know.
No, it's not.
Yeah, PSP is equally not Liberia, not even Monrovia, you know, so to speak. So we were able to encourage the president. We were able to encourage other people, Troconquil and the rest of the folks. Gladly for us, in West Point today, there is a transformation going on there with the West Point Recreational, you know, Center. West Point football field used to have a lot of sand on it. If you walk down West Point today, there is progress being made. They're transforming it into an artificial turf with seating capacity and other different facilities for the children. And so that's a wonderful thing. We will want to see similar thing done in Claratown. You know, there are commitments that the Claratown field will be done for the people of Dole community in Claratown. We want to see similar thing happening in West Point and Negrotown. Not West Point, Negrotown and Logantown. We want to see similar thing happening, you know, in the Jamaica Road area. We want to see that happening in Banga. You know, something should be done in Vonjima. We want to have similar thing in Ganta. I mean, the former Minister of State made us understand that Banga will also have their own portion of the park. We want to see similar thing happening in Zwedru Grangita County. We want to find it. I mean, we want to have it decentralized in most of the popular towns across the country. Now, when these things are done, it will help to reduce the level of drug involvement of our kids, the younger ones, because when these kids don't have, you know, recreational areas to go to, you know, some of them become so idle, and the Bible says an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So
of course,
when the kid is having access to a better facility where he will go and learn how to play soccer, or he will go and learn how to play basketball, there are other responsible kids who practicing basketball with him. He will not see the other people, children coming up clean in the community playing basketball. Then he would jump to start smoking drugs. You know, that would turn him into one Zogo. He will not do that. I mean, he will allow the positive, you know, pressure from his friends, you know, to keep you on track. But once you don't have the opportunity to mingle with a lot of good people, they say bad company breeds bad whatever. Yeah, you know, they say when you associate with bad people, there is a likelihood that you too will become bad. So these facilities can enhance, you know, serious productivity in terms of the young people behavior, in terms of their character, in terms of how they go about living their lives. And so that's wonderful. It is also good for sports development. Every single day, even when it is raining, you find the Invisible Park overcrowded. We want to see similar thing happening in the different communities so that our kids will stop gambling. When you go to some of the community, Alexa, people are throwing cards. You know, they're playing. They're gambling with the Lulu Dodge. You know, they're chunking Lulu Dodge in the gambling. When I throw 6 and you throw 4, I win your money. So I put $50 down. You put $50 down. Once I throw 6, you throw this one. So I mean, it's done for recreational purposes, but again, they are gambling with it because they want to recreate. They want to go and have fun. They want to go and have some amusement. but they don't have the facilities available to them in their community. So what they end up reverting to is to develop for themselves something, that will serve the purpose of recreation. So sometimes the young girls will get into early alcohol consumption. The young boys will get into early marijuana consumption, and before you know it, beginners start smoking weed. They get in, start smoking weed, drinking liquor. By the time the girl starts smoking weed, drinking liquor or hip hop, then she's on the road asking for the next guy to do business with her. Then we start to breed prostitution. We start to breed Zogo attitude among the young people. That's how the society is getting damaged by the day. But when you have these facilities across the country being accompanied, like the last time we said, transforming some of our major high schools into multilateral institutions for skills provision, and other technical vocational career, acquisition. When these things are going along, where you have modern modern sports park, and you have vocational and technical institutions going along with these recreational facilities in major cities across the country, that will help to reduce the appetite of young people, especially those who have the desire in going into drugs. So people may not have seen the logic in doing that park, but trust me, those who go there on a daily basis, don't ask the politicians, ask those who go there on a daily basis to train. Ask those who go there on a daily basis to play football, to do the track and field. They will tell you honestly the real benefit of such a project. And not only was that project focused on recreational facilities, but it changed the lives of over 30 family, family people. There are over 30, and I'm told on the day of the dedication, a little over 20 houses, were added. So somewhere around 50
Right.
family people at that venue, lives were changed. These are people who were sleeping in zinc round, zinc on top of the house, zinc around the house. Literally sand on the ground, the cement busting, all in the places they live with the duca crabs. The crab will walk from across the road to Omar Ellen house. Former President Sally Hall, when President Sally put fence around her house, the other place are swamps. She didn't put fence there. So the swamp there, the crab then there. So the crab then used to cross the road, go to where the invisible park is now. The zinc round in there. He used to be entering in the zinc round. So the other crab can come from the Yaga Colorado inside in Oro and be creeping all in the people places. Those are the lives people were living. Life in destitution. They were poor. I mean, it was not a good thing for them living in zinc shacks. So the president said, I cannot beautify this place, give it a modern look, good facelift. And at the same time, we have how you call this thing? Yeah, we have people living in zinc shacks. So the best thing that I can do is to, transform their lives, give them a better structure, give them a better environment that will commensurate with the development I've done. Now you find out that 30 family heads, 30 different family people have access to modern structures in Central Monrovia. I mean, if that is not something that we can celebrate for this year, then trust me, I don't think there is anything worth celebrating, because it is remarkable. Yeah, the people just sit down, they ain't got no money, nothing. Out of the sudden, you got one brand new house, 2-bedroom apartment with everything inside, front porch, back porch. Then you have access to recreation. You have access to sports facility for your children to go and amuse themselves in such a prime environment, free of charge. The government pay to say this and that. That's free of charge. So, I mean, that project was very wonderful, and I just hope the government is going to get more money. And that's why people who are asking for the president's re-election, they have a point. Because if the president is going to do the Clareton feud, I would want the president to do similar thing that was done in the Oro area. Yeah, around the Clareton feud, when you want to do Clareton feud, there are several zinc rounds around that feud. So when we do the feud and make it better and make it decent, give the artificial turf, we want to have the president having the opportunity to transform the houses around there, give them modern structures, lay the place out, make it in such a way that water will not embarrass them. You do real engineering, so that the water will not overflow and have stuff. Let people be impacted. The way that can be done is perhaps for the librarian to extend the mandate, but we're going to reach to that level. We've not gone to the point of asking the librarian people in considering what can be done. But for that identical project, especially transforming the lives of people who are living in zinc shack, we want to give it up to the government And it was wonderful. It was a wonderful thing that Liberia was able to achieve in the year 2022. Because when you ask, if a Ghanaian will walk to you, Alexa, and say, "Do you have any recreational facility in your country?" Before the president could build that place, a Ghanaian said, "No, I'm not talking about your football stadium. I'm not talking about SKD. I'm not talking about ATL. Do you have anywhere where people can go and have different sports all combined? An open air area, Before that, we could not answer that question as a country. The whole country, since
Wow.
there was no park. No park, where people can go and have different stuff. Today, it is available. And we now have another one growing up in PSP. West Point is about to experience their own because of, no land. So it is going to be small. But other communities with more land, when the project hits, places, it's going to be bigger. So those are things that can transform. When you look, Alexa, you're going to come in. But when you talk about source of income of a country, one of the places people normally make a lot of money is through the area of tourism. Now, tourists
Right.
don't go to boring countries. You see, everybody won't go to Dubai because there is a Burj Al Arab, there is a Burj Khalifa, there is the Dubai Desert. There are too many places people want to go to experience. People want to come to the US, and Alexa, where they want to come to. People want to go all across the world because there are facilities in those places that attracts them. We call that tourist attraction. Liberia is a difficult thing. And so these kind of projects can help people because the person want to come to Liberia to visit. They want to know whether there is a sports gymnasium nearby. They want to know whether there is somewhere available, that can help them to exercise. And so those are all good things that we're able to achieve under the sports park, initiative and so forth. So Abraham, is Alexa still available? I'm not having her on. Maybe. Abraham?
Yes, I'm here. I'm saying I'm not too sure she's available.
Okay. I think
I
there is.
think there's a technical problem.
Yeah.
There's a technical problem here. But she will be back anytime soon, hopefully.
Okay. Yeah. So
Okay.
so yeah. So that
So
is it.
she's
Yeah. So Alexa, like I was saying, those are things people really want to have whenever they visit a country. I mean, it helped to attract tourists, and so it's a wonderful thing that park was equally done. So yeah, let's hear you on it. Then we move to the next two issues, and then we enter out our colors and be gone.
Well, okay. So, whenever we talk about development, that is something that is relative, like in different sectors, different aspects. So, a lot of Liberians, like you said, whenever we're talking about, oh, we're to be developed as a country, we're to have this, to have that. People usually focus on just rural connectivity. People focus on basically healthcare facilities. People focus on schools. I mean, all of these things are, of course, a great aspect of development. But one of the most important things, or that I think has shaped or has reshaped the minds of a lot of youngsters, is the fact that you have a recreational activities where you can have people to go over and have different moment of realization. So the Invincible Park, I remember clearly before it was even constructed, we have a lot of people who were self-proclaimed engineers. Like a lot of them said, hey, this space is not suitable for this project. A lot of them said, well, the government is just trying to do this just to, ruin this environment. They did not really take into consideration what has been, projected, what has been considered by the government, and what, will be the outcome of the project. So a lot of people said different things about that space. There were a lot of criticisms, like a lot. People said a whole lot. This space is not okay for it, and it is not going to last long, because you're just going to have it at a place where it is an air space. And people said a whole lot of things. But again, one of the things I think people should really see in the president we have is resilience. Like, definitely he is someone who possesses resilience, because people will say a lot of things about what he is to achieve, or what he is to do, But at the end of the day, after all of the different criticisms, once that is something that has to do with Liberians and exactly how Liberians will benefit from that, the president continues to, or stay focused in that direction and just make that to be actualized. So that's exactly one of the things that the people criticized a whole lot. And after several months, like we said, when we're talking about development, it doesn't really come just within a day. It doesn't really come within 2 days or 3 days. Now, that is a whole gradual process. You're going to have this pace. It is going to take days. It is going to take weeks. It is going to take months, if not years, just to complete it. And after that, it has to be, an environment where it is very conducive for people to be. It is very suitable where you can have a lot of children, you can have a lot of young people to be around and just enjoy the moment. Because, we have a lot of people in this country who are vulnerable. This is now a justification for some of our brothers and sisters who are, in the street. Like, people have to make their own choices. But whenever you have these, different facilities in country, it also plays a major role in making sure people make the right decisions. Because if you have that space, that you have a basketball or court, of course you have more than one of that, and then you have football fields, you have a space where you can have the kids to play. You wouldn't really want to be in a community where you have your friends going at the park to, practice going at the park, or space that is just so beautiful. And then you don't want to be a part of that. You don't want to be a part of that experience. Of course, you want to be a part of that experience. So I think that's one of the projects that received a lot of criticisms. And after all of the different backlashes, being sent out there, of course, it was well constructed and it was dedicated to Liberians. And after that, people sometimes forget about natural disasters we have all across the world, not just Liberia. Whenever you have rainfall, you're going to experience, flood. And not just in Liberia, you have different countries that will experience that. That is a natural disaster. You cannot get rid of that. That is phenomenal. You cannot get rid of that. No matter what happens, no matter where you are, you're going to experience, natural disaster. You're going to experience rainfall. You're going to experience snow. You're going to experience all of these different storm, thunder, and all of that. But at the end of the day, we should focus on the positives and forget about the negatives. So when we experienced a downpour, we had a lot of them. What it did was a lot of them had a photo. And one of the things they did not do when that space was constructed, when that space was dedicated, a lot of them did not say thank you. Like yesterday, Oliver and I were saying on the same platform. Of course, the president has responsibilities. Of course, the ministers have responsibilities. But whenever you have your father and your father keeps providing for you, in as much as that is his responsibility, you also have to be grateful. You also have to, compliment him on a daily basis whenever the right thing is done. A lot of people did not say that. People say, oh, this project, just forget about it. It is not going to stay long. It's just going to be here for a few times. And after that, you wouldn't see it. It is not going to be well taken care of. It is not going to be monitored. People say all of those things. It has been months. Right now, if you still go over at the park, of course, you still have security. You still have a lot of different people who are there cleaning every single day. You have people who are there supervising, where people should pass, where people should not pass, where people should sit, where people should stand. People are still there, and it has been over 3 months. People are still there doing all of those different things that they said were not going to happen, right? And now we have this park. All of the people who had to share the different videos, different pictures. Oh, this place is now a river. This place is now a sea, or this place is now a stream. Of course, they shared that. And after the natural disaster, of course, they went back to exactly how the park is supposed to be. And all over the world, there are spaces where, it is constructed. And after you have these different things happen, you will have flood. And people will not be able to go there at that moment because that is the season. So Liberia is not an exception to that. So a lot of us saw that. And of course, now if you're going to go to the park right now, it is after 5 in Liberia at the moment. If you're just going to just take a moment and go over at the park, I'm not really sure you will have space. If you're going to go there over the weekend, you're not going to get space because now you have different schools in Monrovia that are, taking the students at that space for a field trip. You have different organizations that are going there on a daily basis just to get that experience, because that is something Liberians have not, really experienced for a very long time. That is something that some of the kids who were born just maybe 2 years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, they did not really experience that. And now, of course, we have it. So that is a plus of this country, and that is also part of development. So whenever we're talking about development, I think the president goes beyond just the regular standard that we have a lot of Liberians that have ascribed to, that development. We're talking about roads connectivity, we're talking about hospital. In as much as we are also discussing all of these different things, the president is making sure that we have availability to healthcare facilities. That's one of the reasons they did the military hospital, they did the Emirates that was just dedicated like some moments ago. So that is also an aspect of it that people should be able to embrace, and people should be able to really appreciate the fact that we have development in all aspects, in all sectors, and people should embrace that and just appreciate the fact, of course, it is here in Liberia, this moment, this time, where we can have everyone void of politics. Because people who criticized that project, most of them, of course, there were opposition members who criticized that whole project. A lot of them. Every morning they would get up and post. Every morning they would call on this show and on that show to talk about the project, that it is not okay, it is dangerous, the space is this, the space is that. But today, a lot of the kids are over there on a daily basis. They're going for walk. They're going for moment with the fathers, with the mothers, and all of them are going at the same park they talked about back a few weeks back, or months back. So it is just clear that whenever we have these things about Liberia, whenever we have these different projects that are proposed, or that the government is looking forward to achieving, it is important for us to actually be positive and really have a hopeful heart as to what exactly this will mean to Liberians, what the experience people we have, and how people will be able to embrace all of these things, in terms of how am I going to react to that. Of course, people have to be positive about all of these different projects, because at the end of the day, even if George Weah is not president of Liberia tomorrow, we still have these things to be here, right? Even if George Weah is not president, we're still going to have the hospital that was just dedicated. We're still going to have this park. We're still going to have all of these different projects that are being, done by this government. So it is all about Liberia, and I think we have to look in that direction when it is time to really look in that direction. Of course, you can criticize the government. You can definitely have your different points, but what are you bringing to the table? Are you just going to say, oh no, they're not doing nothing with this, and you don't have any recommendation? No. You have to be constructive sometimes, and you have to be fair whenever you see these things are being done the right way. Sometimes, Oliver and I on this platform, we discuss some of the government officials who are not doing well. Of course, we've done that a couple of times. It doesn't mean we don't love Liberia, no. It doesn't mean we don't support the government and his agenda, no. It just means at a point you have to put people in check. But whenever the good thing is done, you have to recognize that, and you have to compliment the person that serves as a motivation. I mean, it serves as something that you've put in, you've already told yourself, I'm going to put my country above whatever that is happening. So that is like very important for us as a people. So I really hope as we will be ending this year very soon, I really hope that when we go to next year, we can have a lot of Liberians to look in the direction of positivity, because that is one of the things that will bond us together as a people. Whenever you have something that will benefit the whole country, I mean, just go for it, just embrace it, and just accept that, of course, this is about Liberia. This is not about, an individual. So I really hope we can reach that point where Liberians will be able to look in that direction, like seriously. But the park is one of the achievements again for this year, and people actually thought it was not going to be actualized. Yeah, because it's bit by bit. But when people lose, the sense of reasoning, they just want something to happen in one day, and that is impossible. Like, you cannot tell me you're going to build a house and then you just take today to do that. No, it doesn't make any sense. So whenever we have people saying these silly things, it means they're not being rational. It means they're not being honest. They're just saying these things to, find a narrative where people will be able to turn against the president or turn against the government, and they forget that even where they live or even the cars they drive, when your car has a problem, it doesn't just take a single day depending on the problem it has. It takes, time before that is like 100% settled. So we have to be very patient, and we have to be, working in line with the government as people to be appreciative and to be serving as a motivation to the government as well. So it is a great project. And one of the things I actually hope for, I hope we can have these things across the different counties we have. Like you said, Oliver, Monrovia is not just Liberia. No, we have Margibi, we have Bomi, we have all of the different counties we have. And I'm sure we have a lot of these things in the pipeline to be done in the different counties we have. It just needs time. It just needs a proper planning. And I'm sure the president is also thinking in that direction to have different parks constructed across different countries. So we're hopeful, and we actually pray for support ahead of 2023 to have some of these projects to kickstart in some of the different counties we have. So we can also have kids from the different rural counties. We can have young people to also be able to embrace what it actually feels like to have a recreational center to be able to feel exactly what other people are experiencing here in Monrovia. I really hope for that.
Okay, so today the Emirates Stadium. Did I say that? The Emirates Hospital was dedicated. Yeah, I said Emirates Stadium. I remember the Arsenal home ground. So
Are you
today,
an
the Emirates Stadium is home ground for Arsenal. But today the Emirate Hospital being dedicated in Bopolu City, Bapolu County, and that is one interesting development we've had this year. The fact that it was dedicated this year, and this year will mark the inauguration of that project. Now, we talked more about it yesterday, and so we're now going to spend more time on it. But what I gather from the president's speech today is what is so amazing. I'm going to read a portion of what the president said because we were unable to grab that audio up to show time. So I beg your pardon. Please, I beg your pardon. Let's read that particular place. Okay. All right. Okay. So the president said, fellow citizens, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, I want to inform you that the project selection, groundbreaking, and construction of this facility can all be traced back to the selfless decision I made many years ago when I made many years ago when at the pinnacle of my soccer career, I made a decision to leave Europe and play for a relatively unknown football team in the United Arab Emirates called Al Jazeera. This is the president's statement. He said, at this juncture, at this moment, they play with Nana. I want to inform you that the project selection, their project, their hospital, the groundbreaking for us to kind of put shovel on the ground, the construction for us to put a block up and plaster it and put zinc there of this facility can be traced back to the selfless decision. All the things they are talking that it is because of the decision why I now made way back. I made many years ago when at the pinnacle of my soccer career, at the time where I was the champ of football on the earth. I was one of the only player every team wanted to have. I made a decision to leave Europe and play for a relatively unknown team in the United Arab Emirates called Al Jazeera. I left Europe when I had opportunity to go to other European teams to make more money, to have a lot of money, to sign good contracts, to go to teams that I will be recognized, to go to competitive team. I left Europe because by then, the Crown Prince of the United Arab Emirates, The Crown Prince, today he is the president. Yeah, the Crown Prince, His Excellency Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. By then, the Crown Prince was a personal friend to President Weah. So President Weah said, it is because of my friend. By then, this friend was not president. This friend was just the Crown Prince in the UAE. So the president said he made a decision. He made a decision by then to leave Europe. Fellow Liberians, he made a decision to leave Europe and go to the United Arab Emirates to play for Al Jazeera because of his friend. In the UAE, they don't have president there. They got king, and the king older son is the heir to the throne. You know, so the prince of the UAE by then was was a personal friend to President Weah, and to this date, he's still a friend to President Weah. So the president made a decision to leave lucrative positions in Europe in terms of the footballing arena to go play in behind the whole league, because the UAE league was behind the whole league. It was not a European league. Till now, it is not even one of the major leagues, you know, in the world of football. So it is the sacrifice that he made that made his friends, his friends in the UAE, especially, you know, the Crown Prince, to value the friendship. The president is one person who takes friendship over a lot of things. Even when he has opportunity to make more money in football, he chooses friendship to go to Al Jazeera. So because of the sacrifice he made as a footballer, when his friend became the Crown Prince and heir to the throne of the UAE, he thought to extend an invitation to his friend who now became president of Liberia. And so Weah went to the UAE, specifically in Abu Dhabi. So his friend said, my man, although you're president now, and anytime from now, I will become king for the UAE, but I want you to go back to our football field that we used to play on. And that's how they went to the field. He gave the president jersey. He gave the president football. One lawmaker took the same jersey and football. He started making fun with it in Liberia. After that encounter, the UAE, the prince told his father, said, Papa, they're my friend Joe Weah. He left my belly. That because of me, he left AC Milan, other BB clubs. He didn't go back to them. He came all the way to Austria in the desert to come wear gown and play football. That because of me, he can't do it. So saying president now, I want you getting gift. One of the gifts you must gain is to build the Unity Park in PSP. That park you see is part of the UAE, you know, a project. The UAE got a hand in it, I'm told. Now, the next one is the hospital in Bapolu. I want you to get in hospital and put some money in your country to build sports park. So the man father accepted. Sadly, the father of President Weah's friend died. He died this year, Alexa.
Yeah.
The king, the king who was in charge when President Weah went to play football in the UAE died this year, and President Weah's own friend now became the king because he was the heir to the throne. So President Weah's friend Nana is the friend. President Weah's friend now is the king of the UAE. So you see that? Now I want to explain so our people listening will go get a story. The man who is the king for the UAE now, he was the prince the time President Weah was playing football. So when President Weah became president sooner, the prince said, my man, see you president to our friends, come to our country, I'll tell my father to give you some money. So you go build football stadium and other recreational places in PSP. Then you go Bapolu, you go build hospital there. That's how the deal was looking. So President Weah went there and how they brought the Unity Park, and that's how the Emirates Hospital came about. Today, the friend now is the king of the UAE. So can you imagine? He just took over this year. So think about how many other projects his friend will get another friend in Africa if this friendship continues. So the president had to include that in his statement today. Now, we're mentioning it because when this trip was made in the UAE, a lot of people, you know, had nothing to say but to say, oh, they got a man, he's disgracing her. They wouldn't play in I tell you, go to go game football. That is who he is. If President Weah have fought war anyway, you go to game AK-47. If President Weah will eat anyway, you go to game spoon and fork. The man got famous. He became popular. He became well known through football. So under no condition will he be divorced from football. What is of the essence is when those engagements will start to bear tangible fruits. The Emory Hospital, that football fee, and that football fee, that's not football field. The other developmental projects that we hit the country are not only football related. So it's a good thing that is happening. I would want to talk to the president. Mr. President, your friend now are the king. For our EPA, so EPA just gave you hospital. And EPA gave you some money to do Unity Park. See now your friend, although government not too much friendship, but yeah, your friend talk to him. Let him know, let him try, yeah, and although people will always talk, but talk to your friend so that hospital, we will be able to have, a paved road leading from Bombay County to locate the hospital, to create easy access for people who will be living from Sierra Leone, because even as far as Sierra Leone, the bordering towns around Sierra Leone, there is not any hospital compared to that hospital 30 miles within the Sierra Leone part of that area. So you have to travel deep down in the Sierra Leone before you find a hospital that is befitting the one that was just dedicated. So people will be living from Sierra Leone around the neighboring towns to come to that place to a hospital. So when the road is good from Toggenburg to Bopolu, it's going to help to ease the challenges associated with ambulances taking people from one place to the other. The way we can do that is, Mr. President, for you to talk to your friend, although we can put all of the burden on him, but for the national government to start a process. At least that we can start to do 5 kilometers of that road and tell, His Royal Highness say, oh, my man, we started. We want you to do, stuff like the way you did with the Lofa Road. You already started. And the Qatari government committed extra 100 million. Those are things we want. So, Mr. President, will want to ask you to use that friendship that you have with the current leader of the UAE, to expand on some of this project. You don't have to mind what the people are saying. You don't have to mind what they say that football you go play. If it means playing 2 million footballs across the world to bring a lot of development to the country, that is what we need. That country too old to be where it is. That country too old for the citizens to be stopping people and restraining people on the kind of avenue to use in getting help for the country. So don't mind whatever they're gonna say. All we care about is once we keep having dividends coming to the country, no problem. If staying out of the country for 45 days is now giving us $100+ million in commitment for the Lofa County second phase project, that is now a bad thing. Because if you stay in the country for 60 days, we're not going to get 100 million, to do the second phase of the Lofa County road. We're not going to get that anywhere sooner. How you stay in Liberia in 2020, 2019, how you not gone to the UAE? I'm not too sure the people of Bopolu would now be smiling at that wonderful, beautiful, Emirate Hospital today. So we wanted you to extend your tentacles out there. They are all the great friends. Utilize the space. Don't mind the people. Don't allow the people to discourage you. Don't allow the ingratitude of a few. A lot of the Liberian people appreciate what you've done. The people in Bopolu ain't got time. And I don't want people in this country, especially folks from the United Party and other governments, to want to brand the government as insensitive or not innovative. That is where some of us who are pundits, political analysts, will normally come in. They say the president can't the hospital to play with no role. Come on, man, how you say that? How you come and say that? Right? We understand that there are challenges associated with these things. So if you, I mean, it is hypocritical for you to say President Sali and the United Party people have good sense, or Joe Biden have good sense to run the country, and Joe Biden ain't got good sense. It's hypocritical because Joe Biden took Jackson F. Hospital to Tapeta. There is no Kota Road going there. But at a later time, they had to put 2 kilometers of Kota right in front of the hospital so dogs can be entering the hospital. Mm-hmm. That is what you have at Jassy Ebdo today. It is President Weah's government that is taking paved road from Sakapie from Ghana to Sakapie and subsequently up to Tabeta. It is this government that's doing it. So you know about to build the hospital there. It is this government that's taking the road there. Government is continuing it. So you took the hospital there today. President Weah is carrying the road there. President Weah just put the hospital there. He also got 1 year in his term. In his first term, there is a possibility he's going to get re-elected. He could also take the road there. So why don't you celebrate the hospital first before opening your mouth to say no quota going there? I mean, you don't do that to the country. That's not criticality. You're being temporarily insane when you make that kind of comments. You are temporarily insane. So a lot for the country because it is the best thing that we can have. But yes, that project is on course. That project is on course, and we are grateful that it was commissioned today. Yeah, we're grateful it was commissioned today. So we hope in subsequent time the doctors will be assigned there, and as we will be awaiting the quota project, Madam Ruth Coco Collins, the Bapolo County Legislative Caucus, the Bombay County Legislative Caucus, the Cape Mount Legislative Caucus, including the Lofa County Legislative Caucus, should start to have a joint collaborative effort that will see to it that their local caucuses, their local leadership will have a road maintenance structure in place. I know Nima County had their road moving equipment to maintain their local roads. Those counties can also help, to buttress, central government in maintaining the different routes leading to the hospital, because it is your people that will be the primary beneficiaries of that project. So if you say that you said a government project and some of you are senators, you are representatives, you are superintendents, you are county leaders, and you don't do anything to maintain the roads, you're going to be the ones losing out on a very wonderful, how you call this thing, investment. So it should be owned by the people. While the government is looking for money to pave the roads, let's ensure that we maintain the ones we have. And that's why I'm asking the different county leadership to be a part of the whole process. At the same time, before I submit on this issue, Alexa, the Ministry of Public Works should now have a plan. While we're looking for money to pave it, let machine be on that road to keep grading it up, to keep patching the potholes, make it possible so that ambulances will not be hitching, ambulances will not be bouncing too much, so as to allow the hospital to serve its purpose while we love it for 1 or 2 years to get real road, going to that place. But it's a good thing. I hope the lawmaker who are acting crazy with this stuff, I hope he's gonna, eat back his words. I just hope he's gonna understand that, it is not everything you want to criticize, and that is what it is, my dear. So right after we talk about the energy issue, I'm gonna talk about it before I submit to you, because we gotta take calls right after.
Yeah, we have to take calls.
One of the good things that happened again in this country was the fact that Mary Brown was able to come on board to the LEC. Secondly, which is also important, is the fact that Liberia was able to sign onto the CLSG Transco project. That project will see enough megawatts of electricity coming up to the country to add on to whatever we are generating from McCoffee. That will stabilize the issue of energy distribution within the country, going forward. That is a wonderful news. But all would not be successful, would not benefit the country if the energy that is being generated is not sold appropriately. And so to do that, the president also had to work with Monique Captain, who is the head of the LEC, and they were able to bring on board Mary Tanyan Broad, the enforcer, on the table. To a great extent, Mary Broad has been able to make Liberians to start to own their meters and subscribe to it. That is one of the things that can sustain any country. That is one of the sustainable paths any country can tread on. It's very essential. In developed countries, people pay their bills. And I want to beat on Liberians because LEC herself was crazy with the way they were proceeding. They were very ineffective with customer care and customer services and whatever the case. So they created loopholes for people to steal the current. That is not a justification, though. But the way they have something stable in terms of generating current, and they have Mary Brown on the table, while the citizens are expected to cooperate with the process, we are hopeful that the issue of energy will soon be over in the country. There are small technical stuff going on that they're trying to work out. In 6 months' time, we could be to a point where the country is going to be stable from an energy perspective. So yes, on the 2022, we've seen a lot of good things happening, and it's a wonderful thing. So on the issue of peace and security, before I hand up to you, Alexa, we saw the police distributing food again, food and water to protesters. Now, this may sound silly to you. This may sound very funny to you, but trust me, other countries in the continent, other countries on the continent of Africa went to war because the state security forces were unable to amicably handle simple protest actions. Other countries,
Right.
10, 20-person gathering, the police will go there and start shooting tear gas, including live bullets in the crowd. Other African countries, these things are done. In other African countries, lawmakers and key opposition figures will open their mouth. By the time you cause one time, they arrest you. By the time you cause the coffee to beat the hell out of you, to drag you here from places, to do stuff to you. In Liberia, people insult the president literally. People sit and cause the president from up, down. Everywhere they want to cause the president. Nobody is after you. Nobody is arresting you. Nobody is intimidating you. Those are things that we've seen happen in the country. The issue of rule of law, we got to give it up to the police and the rest of the joint security. You know, to keep that country peaceful is to tolerate people even when they are stupid.
Of course.
Yeah, to keep any country peaceful is to tolerate people even when they are proceeding foolishly. You got to tolerate them. To want to repel every nonsense is to create unnecessary pressure in the country that could lead to instability. The government, through the police, was able to keep the country peaceful, and that is why it is. Some of the people who disagree, their government, you know that you dare not say anything foolish to their government, to say something foolish to their leaders, and the next thing you know what's going to happen. And we saw how Koji was dragged to jail in this country, was beaten. We saw what Malu went through. Malu was beaten on several occasions, jail at South Beach. Oh yeah, we saw how Solomon George was intimidated in this country. We saw too many things happen to people. We saw how Buffer Timmons was robbed of his election. Even when he won the Maryland County polls, we saw how they cleverly stole the election from him. Too many things we saw in this country. You know, but this year to find police people repeating the June 7th food distribution to protesters shows a lot about the progress we've made under the issue of rule of law. And so we want to give it up to the police. And those are issues that we've witnessed during this year. And as we are closing the year and getting prepared for a resumption next year, we want to bid all of you a happy, prosperous new year. And we hope we can continue to build this country, this wonderful country, that we call Liberia. Alexa, after you, we'll go take our calls and go home.
Right. I mean, we couldn't have gotten a better year than we have already experienced for this year. Like, I would like to start with the issue of the rule of law from the angle of the Liberian National Police. Well, we've seen some amazing works being done by Liberian National Police in terms of, tolerating protesters, even though the police are, they're provoked sometimes whenever you have these different protesters. Like, we've seen protesters insult police on the scene. Yet and still the police are continuing to show how tolerant they are and how they are to protect the lives and properties of people. So yeah, it's been a lot this year, and we've seen that the different protests that definitely occurred, and we saw a reoccurrence of that. And a lot of people actually did that to keep provoking, number one, the president, number two, the security apparatus we have in this country, to a point where some of the different scenes we've witnessed in several African countries, our neighboring African countries, to be done in Liberia. But one of the amazing things we've seen, we have a man as president who is very peaceful, and he gives people liberty to exactly do what they're supposed to do. And he's one of the persons who under his administration, we've seen exactly what freedom of expression is, because daily you have people on different talk shows. They're going to court to say things about the president. We have people even on social media, Facebook, who have their own talk shows just to insult the president. And that is something that, we've been able to, coexist in the midst of all of these different moments where sometimes, especially supporters of the president, they feel really disheartened. They feel at a moment that, wow, why is this really happening when we couldn't have gotten the freedom we needed to do exactly what we're supposed to do at a point, or what we wanted to do at a point. So I think on that aspect, we've seen massive growth, and I really hope that 2023 as well, we can have the police to have a lot of support, because that's one of the things. In as much as these people are working on a daily basis to make sure the rule of law is implemented, and then we have protesters. Imagine, I don't remember a neighboring African country of Liberia now, where you're going to have people to be protesting. Then you have the police, you have we have a different people who are, armed men, and then they're there protecting protesters. They're there, giving food, they're there giving water. I haven't seen that. No, I haven't seen that in any neighboring countries we have, around Liberia. No, I haven't seen that. So it says a lot about, where we are as a country, where we've come from, and it says a lot about the leader we have. So On that note, I would like to say bravo to the Liberia National Police. I would also like to say bravo to the president, because whenever you have a leader who is peaceful, Oliver, whenever you have a leader who is tolerant in the midst of all of the different insults, of course, you can criticize. That is like 100% your choice. But to insult on a daily basis, and then you have a president who tolerates that, you have a president who takes that. I mean, it says a lot about where we are as a country and where we've come from. And also, LEC issue, we've talked about that a couple of times, and we all have been victims when it comes to people who are, into power theft, and we're being people who are, affected by people who are involved with power theft, because whenever you have a space where a lot of people are not supposed to be on one, transmitter, and then you have over 1,000 people on something that is supposed to be for 500 people, you're definitely going to be, impacted negatively. But I'm happy that, of course, we have Mirabro, who had done a great job. She's done an amazing job. And then we have people, they have been put in check. And right now, anywhere you go, you're going to see Mirabro coming, or you see everybody just getting themselves together. So that is also an amazing part. That's exactly what we've hoped for, where we have a moment where everyone will be able to benefit from, electricity, because that is an important an aspect of every society. Whenever you have, electricity, it says a lot about your growth. It says a lot about investment. It says a lot about exactly where you were heading. And in terms of the dedication of the project that was just done like few moments ago in Bapolu County, Bobolo City, everyone has an identity. And there are some people who definitely forget their identity, and it becomes, a broken dignity. So the president, no matter what happens, in as much as he is the president of Liberia, you can't take away from him that, of course, he is a soccer legend. And that is one of the things that, has actually contributed to some of the different, things we have in Liberia now under his administration. So the president played football back in the days, and wherever he goes or whatever he says, you cannot take that away from him. So that's one of the things that we're benefiting from as a country, because this man played football. This man, has connections with different countries, different people who are, influential in their own countries, different people who are heading, countries as well. So whenever you have all of these different things, I think it is important for us to recognize the fact that, in as much as he is president of a country, before becoming president, he played football. And of course, there are people who he will connect with. There are people who want to give back based on, what he did in the past, based on how he delivered in the past when he was, a professional soccer player. People want to give back to him. And now he is in the position where he will need all of the different, assistances, and will need all of the different, contributions from his friends. And now it is working. So when the president was in Dubai, we have a lot of people who say, oh, he went to play football. And he's doing that. And today, the football he went to play, of course, we're saying that the different, tangibles that it has brought. We're seeing the different, good things that we have now just from what exactly he went to do in Dubai. So I think at this point, while we are recognizing the fact that we have a president, you cannot take away from him. I mean, the sooner you understand that is firstly his identity as a soccer legend, I mean, the better for you, because you can't take that away from him. Even after he has already left office as president, you will still have George Weah, former soccer player, soccer legend. You have after, say, president of Liberia. That's exactly how it is. You can't take it away from him. So sometimes people have to really get their senses together, and they have to understand certain things. But sometimes, of course, they understand these things, but they fail to actually, take these things into consideration, because they've failed to accept that, of course, you have a George Weah as president. They've failed to actually accept the fact that some of the things they said he was now going to do as an individual, as the president, he has already failed them, because he has, surpassed the different things they said that he couldn't do. And he has done a lot of these things and more to come. So I think at this point, everyone should definitely accept the fact that whatever happens, you have an identity. I have an identity before coming on the show. Oliver had an identity before coming on the show. So we all have all of these different things. But above all, I guess we've had an amazing year. We've had a lot of different prospects. We've seen, a lot of different developmental activities across the country, as much as there are challenges. But we found more, we find it really amazing to talk about all of the amazing things we've seen as a country, because that's exactly one of the things that will make us strong as a country. That's one of the things that will definitely put us out there and create a positive impression of exactly what our country is and where we are. Some of the things we're enjoying now, like for example, peace. You know how many countries we have? African countries now, they don't have peace. Like, I mean, in this 21st century, you still have people who are doing, whatever military coup. Of course, you've seen that. You've witnessed that over the period when we had Guinea, we have Mali, and, all of the different countries. You've seen that. Today we have peace. And of course, we should be grateful for that. And we should prepare ourselves ahead of, the months that we have to come in 2023. But above all, we should be grateful as a people that we can express our views freely, even if we're going to insult somebody. I mean, someone you consider your leader, you can do that freely, and no one will get back to you to say you're going to be killed. No one will tell you you're going to be put to jail. No one will say that to you. You should also be grateful that, of course, right now you can walk freely in the street and just call on any radio station and say, hey, Josh, we are this. Josh, we are that. And no one is going to just, do something to you in the street. No, you should be grateful about that, because that is one of the things that we have a lot of African countries right now. They're fighting to have. Some people can't even call on a radio station. If you have a radio station that is going to be talking, stuff about the government, of course, you're going to have people to be there waiting for who is saying that. Then after that, you know exactly where you're going to go. So we should be happy as a people. One of the most important things a lot of people really wish for is to have freedom of expression. And above all else, we have that. So it has been an amazing year, and I actually can't wait for exactly what the president has in store for Liberians next year. I can't wait to see what Liberians also have in store for themselves. It is going to be amazing and just all great.
Okay, so we're going to take our break. Crime Stoppers Liberia. But before we do that, sorry, we were unable to have our guest at plan due to some technical issue. But we are hopeful that we're going to have a full house next year when all of the technical stuff will be resolved here on 87.9. My name is Kai. Alexa is there. Abraham Kamara is at controls. We take our break, have words from Crime Stoppers, and we take your calls.
Yo, hello. I want to talk about violence. More violence is indiscriminate. It can happen for any reason and to anyone. Until we do something to serve the sort of vigilante-style justice in this country, none of us will be safe. My Liberia is Liberia of hope. In my Liberia, it is possible. Violence is not part of my Liberia. Violence leads to property damage, injury, or even death, as we are seeing in recent months in several parts of Liberia, including Monrovia. Talk to people in your community about violence. Stand up against mob justice. Be a community hero. Liberia is all that we have. We must all unite to uphold the rule of law. Thanks for listening. This is Old Man Sam Simon.
We want peace in Liberia. Peace in Monrovia.
Okay, so welcome back. Let's take the calls. Abraham Kamara, let's do our calls.
Okay, the numbers are active. Our numbers are 0776 104 104, 0886 500 104, or better still, the female can call us on 0770 297016. And for those of you in the diaspora, for those of you outside Liberia and wanting to call us, can call us on our WhatsApp line +231 886 500 104. We'll go to the telephone lines and talk to our first caller. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, David.
Yes, sir. What's the name and where you join us from?
Yeah, David, this is David King, an executive of the National Reform Initiative Team.
Go ahead.
I do join you from the densely populated commercial suburb of our capital, which is Red Light.
Okay.
You see, David, let me say hats off to Oliver Kahn and Alaska for outlining so many achievements our government have over the years. Today I was overjoyed. I was very much overjoyed when I saw that gigantic building being dedicated today by His Excellency Dr. George Manawia to the Liberian public. And I listened to some opposition saying it's just another empty building at the 14 military hospital. No. Who told them that the 14 military hospital is an empty building? It's not an empty building. The 14 military hospital, there's this guy who usually bomb up the president or the opposition. Today, the 14 military hospital contributed welcome first to the military second to his life. That brother had a tragic motor accident somewhere on the Route 3 highway. He nearly died. It was the 14 military hospital they rushed into. And he brought his own narrative. And he told me, he said, look, King, I've always been bound of being your leader. But what the hospital have been able to do for me to restore my life, I think there's a need to give the president the opportunity to do whatever he wants to do for this country instead of us to just sit and criticize.
Oh, okay.
So when I listen to that brother talking about it's another empty building at the 14 military hospital, I just laugh and tell myself, this brother don't know what he was talking about. I want to president.
Thank you.
To do this thing that you're doing for us.
Thank you so much. Let's talk to another person. Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon.
What's your name and where you join us from? Is that? Okay, go ahead.
I want to tell everybody, Oliver Kahn, thank you for the prayer. I want to tell you too, Abraham, thank you for the program. Have a jolly good day. Thank you.
You're welcome. And we have this person on this line. Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon.
What's your name and where you join us from?
Thank you, brother. William, defender.
Go ahead, Chief.
Oliver Kahn. Yeah. I want to say thanks to the person of the bureau. And Oliver Kahn, first, let me say that the Iowa Sewer boss of Beyonder. Because as you're saying, over 30 years now, the Prince of Morrow and some part of the bureau did not have water. And the government making things like got water. So the first thing is to have made an announcement that water is coming and it's going there. So nobody will say whatsoever. You don't want to watch me play. And we're not doing that. And it's a Beyonder on a fact. But it's so thing, we want to say thanks to President Weah. Can we say that this man will work out things that is there? Things that not happened before, it will happen when it is president. So you are talking, all you're talking is development. All you are talking is development. Here's the president. You know what the last time that I don't want to call his representative. They just say, I need to go there now and say, oh, maybe the job I do yesterday was a battle. What this man, the people, man, they look at what we are saying. They may give it yesterday. It's something somebody made. I want you repeat today.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Let's talk to another person. Hello.
Good evening, my brother. How are you?
I'm doing fine. What's your name and where you join us from?
Yeah, this is Mohammed Gutara, one of the people defending the conducting district in the executive mansion.
Go ahead, Chief. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Where today we can see some of the journalists is still talking good about the government. And President Weah will continue to disgrace the frustrated politicians that in the country, they only talk, not do nothing. Then they got nothing to power to do. Another thing, the president will go pay their children once fee. They will come up on the media and say unnecessary things against the government. But 2023, we have a package for them. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And we have Man CC on the line. Man CC, you are welcome.
Baby boy, how you doing, Baba?
I'm doing fine, Mama.
We say hi to Alexa and from my son, okay, in the diaspora there.
Hello.
Yes, we say thanks to the president of Nigeria.
Okay.
We totally meant for change, and we are seeing the change that going on in this country. People are not like the change, and then leave their bureau. Look at it. If you not like the change that going on in that bureau, you must leave that bureau and go to Ghana or anytime where you want to go, or go to Puerto, you go stay there. But when I want to change, when we meet in Liberia, we go one thing for Liberia. We still in Papa we backing your plea opposition. A lot of people looking at prayer, my child, when you start prayer, so it will bump on the other side of the plastic. So people looking, they get no sense of reasoning, my child. You're not getting it. You're not mental. You can't come back to me about the young teacher or you about Jesse. So there you see that today. I think they shame and they beg. He has come to the opposition. So they will not talk about it. All talk about they're not happy, they're not happening. So when I get that ear, when I get that 3 years in the country, anyone that comes to the country, their lives will stand there. So you ready? I can't take me having my talk. Thank you, boss.
Okay, thank you so much. We have this person on this line. Hello.
Hey, good evening, baby boy. How are you?
How about Chief? What's your name and where you join us from?
Well, thank you. This is the people's governor. The most talk about district number 10 governor Adamso A. Ajen. I do join you from my comfort district from the whole members of the Restore and Defend team.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let me say hats up to Kai and our sister Alasta. Let me say good to them. They are doing extremely well. What a blessed out for them. For all of the good information. You know, some of all with all of these achievements from our president, it's not strange to us. We are aware of it and we know that some of us focus on. So we want to bless God for him so much. We tell God, thank you for you. So our own lawmaker here, we used to be making laws all around here. All the men who play football. I just say they get it, man. Today, every one of them, they are ashamed because see, they spoke power down there. Invisible spoke power. Every one of them used to be making laws that they talk of the town. We want to bless God for the president and tell God, thank you for every one of you that continue to spread the good information about Mama Labua. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Another person is here. Hello.
Hello, DJ Dediba.
Hello, Mama.
This is my Rita Do, the personal friend from Chikisu Country and member of the Wisconsin.
Go ahead, Mama.
Yeah. First of all, I want to say hello to Oliver Khan and Lester.
Hello, ma'am.
I want to say hello to them. You see, DJ Dediba, first I want to salute my president. You see, people say so many things against the president. And are they saying it? That how President William government is moving forward. And how President William is carrying on development. So I want to salute my president, my friend. President William, I tell you, thank you for the hospital. The hospital that they're talking about, no road, no day. Let them go for the road there now. President William, I build the hospital. When they attack me after 12 years, let them build the road. They build their own hospital. President William build the road. They never build the road. President William build the road. So let them get anything to say. Let them go sleep. Let them find place to stay down. That President William do it well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's talk to Man Dede on the line. Hello.
Yeah, DJ baby boy.
You're live on the radio.
Yeah, I want to take you on one step.
Okay.
The work. I said I'm calling for supermarket for the dollar.
Okay.
I want to tell the president thank you for what you did and you continue to do. So I don't want to tell you thank you. I'm only something.
Okay. So we have this person on this line. Hello.
Hello.
Your name and where you join us from?
Hello?
Your name and where you join us from, please.
This is mine. Now we're calling from St. Paul's Fish. Defender.
Go ahead, Mama.
Okay. Let's say hello.
Hello.
How do?
Merry Christmas.
President, thank you. I want to tell my president thank you for what he's doing for that hospital. They don't say, how they call it, sister? You want to say, he didn't accept it. When you were one president, we have put it there for everybody to accept it. He said no. Now the angel spirit they got in him is means he know what to do. They hate for that boy. For that boy will teach them the lesson. And teaching the lesson. Mr. President, thank you, my son. Let God bless you. And to do it. Everything. I tell you, thank you. Bye.
Okay. Let's talk to this person here. Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Your name and where you join us from?
Thank you very much. Let me say good afternoon to Oliver Kine and Alexa Manja calling for recognition. My name is Ibrahim Zubli and I join you from class and this evening. Thank you very much for a unique and civilized conversation. You know, my brother Eddie, Oliver Kine, I want to say thank you so much for the hard work you do for the people. You know, we appreciate you guys so much. Yes, you're doing well. Let me first appreciate the president and the international partners are helping us. So, what people who say, President, we don't have international contacts see this development, this tangible things, we see the president. Look, you can be in the opposition and criticize the government, but if you see a good thing, you must tell the people. The whole people are following you. Because according to my brother, somebody said that the hospital, that empty hospital. Look, okay, take your time. Why not build an empty hospital? This guy is taking the hand. Everyone will continuously supporting this person, will continuously, advocating for this person. Before the opposition will have the person in the interest of the people. We need to be grateful to this president. I want to say thank you, Mr. President. We appreciate you. We love you. Next time we believe in you. 2023, we will elect you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to this person. Hello?
Yeah. Good evening, my dynamic brother. How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Let me say good morning to my brother in the U.S., Alexa and Oliver Kai.
Go ahead, Chief.
This is Maurice Kumar, the co-chair for Operation National Response and Defense Team, and I join from my resident Dryas Market, Banana. My brother, Abraham Kamara, and my colleagues that are in the U.S., let me just commend you guys for the update. You know, it is good that Freedom FM is in this country. And I want to commend the CEO of Freedom FM for opening a platform to educate the Liberian people about the development and the happening that the president is carrying on in this country. You know, my brother, let me just say something to you. These guys in the community, what is the news in the community the guys carrying around? That hospital, the just hospital they just built with empty hospital. You know, I told them, I said, you guys, we don't have anything to say again. Everything you're saying now, you're bringing it in different idea, but we'll tell you guys that our hospital will help the people in the rural area. People will not be coming from across the river there, then they put in ambulance to reach them in Monrovia from the river straight to the hospital there, and they will go on good treatment. And I want to commend the president, and I want to commend the government of Liberia for the bold steps that they're taking, and I pray that God should give President let's say we are long life, so he can get on more development, then our people can be saved from some of the diseases that in this country, more especially for hospital. So let me conclude on this note. I want to commend Freedom FM, more especially Oliver Kind and Elasa, and you guys that work along with this with Oliver Kind. Let me just say something to you guys. You guys will not know that you guys are getting popular. You guys will not know that people are looking at you, people are watching you, and tomorrow at the end of the day, you guys will receive your reward. Trust me.
Amen.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Morris. Time is actually not in our favor, so we'll talk to the very last caller. Hello?
Yeah, good evening, Oliver. This is Jefferson P. Saji. I call from Sarala, Lower Palm County.
Go ahead, Chief.
Yeah, thank you. I want to tell the president thank you. And before that, let me get paid for our president. Father, I tell you thank you in the mighty name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth for giving our president knowledge. May you guide him, may you protect him, no weapon go against him should prosper. Every plan of the enemy, may you destroy it in the mighty name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. May you guide and protect him against eternal aloneness that will win them in 2023 in the mighty name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. I pray. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Amen.
Okay, Kind. You there? We should take more calls?
No.
It was good. It was good he prayed because this is the last show of the year 2022.
Yes.
The next time you listen to Freedom Hub, it's going to be. Alexa, should we do January 2 or January 3?
We'll discuss that backstage.
So January 2 is on Monday. January 3 is on Tuesday. You know the New Year will be celebrated on Monday.
Sure.
Yes.
So January 3 will be on
Tuesday.
On Tuesday, January 4. We'll resume January 4.
You're still on hangover?
After all of this.
I don't know what happened.
Were you hangover?
Fatigue, not hangover though.
I'm beginning last time. Don't give me a hard time, but it was good. It was good. The guy prayed for us, and yeah, it was a wonderful thing. He prayed for the president, and I'm sure all part of that prayer. So that will be a presentation for the year 2022. Hopefully 2023. I don't want to predict what's going to happen next year, but it's going to be really, really busy. It's going to be very hectic, but what a period. But we're going to see you. It is 1 o'clock here, so y'all be preparing to go to bed.
Thank you for reminding us.
Okay.